All right, here we go. Game two. First 5 minutes looked fantastic for GAM. In the first game, they were able to get those picks on Huhi, and then he seemingly shook off the rust and was able to take this this Wukong versus Viego matchup. Viego very explosive in the excuse me. Viego very explosive in the 1v1 trades. Now we have LeBlanc, Amumu, which I love the synergy between the two of them, by the way. Renekton even with a little bit of magic. So I expect to see an Abyssal Mask at some point, maybe second from the Amumu, maybe after Even Shroud. People have finally come around to it now that it's seeing play as a first pick overall. From Nautilus in the mid lane, people are finally on to how strong this item is. So I expect to see a little bit. And in this game, we've got Levi on Wukong, Kiaya on Fiora. She's got seven games on this, dominant in their league. And we've got Braum Zeri, which is a classic 1-3-1 pairing, right? So you do this, you put Zeri the safest mid lane carry in the game. You can jump over any of those walls to get out. You've got teleport on Orianna, teleport on Fiora. So they're going to be setting up a 1-3-1, which is something we don't see very often. We see team fight across most of these regions because of the durability patch, right? You just have these more protracted team fights. The ability, being able to force and stick in fights is paramount. But in this case, we've got, Fiora going for split push. So expect to see hammer to anvil, Amumu coming from the front, Viego coming from the front, and Renekton coming in from the side and sort of slamming down the hammer to the anvil. Is how we call it in most of these Renekton compositions. And they're going to try to force these fights. LeBlanc might try to find an extra window, so you might even get a little bit of a T-bone where you get those two coming in from different sides. If you're GAM, you're trying to win with vision. Braum is going to try to protect one side. You use vision to protect the other side. And then you go off in your split push and you let Fiora go all game. So we'll see how their execution is on this. Teams around the world have not been succeeding with split pushing. Despite how strong Fiora is, they just can't seem to put together the amount of pressure and the time that you need to wait in the side waves. Now, Licorice able to get the stun off onto the Fiora. Something you can only do when you're sure it's not going to get reposted. This matchup gets flipped if she does that. If she ever blocks your stun and stuns you back, that's going to be it. Now, River going a little bit extra aggressive here. Now, you have to be careful. If you don't hit that stun and Wukong's able to start stacking his passive, Wukong will win that fight, right? So you need to have the upfront, the advantage. Now, Wukong will have the inside track here to the scuttle. If he wants it, it looks like that's what he's going to take. He might even go for both of them. Love this ward by Gory. A lot of the players just put this ward right here shallow. It doesn't actually see the transition. So, for example, Kadi right here, dropping this ward here, sure, you see in the bush, but you don't see anybody that's transitioning across this wall. So they didn't have information that they should have had about Viego licking his wounds and going back in the jungle. Now, Wukong, having gotten the Scuttle Crab, is still level 3, might try for a dive. Expect him to try to get level 4 before going in. This is beautifully done by River. I don't like taking extra damage to start there, though. Or leading with the damage, I should say. Let them try to take the aggro. I mean, the gig's probably up once both of them show. But great job by River. Great instincts to actually stick around. Sometimes what you'll see there is Wukong will go back into his own jungle to clear Cromp. And Viego will clear Krugs and actually just try to leave first. Get the first recall so that they can get bot scuttle. And you sort of recreate an even trade of scuttles in the aggregate. But opts to just hide and shadow his top laner and make sure that they don't get dove in, and is absolutely fantastic play. So Renekton expected to take the lead here, but now that Fiora has Sheen, it's a different champion. Good job by Gory getting a extended trade there and a smite win as well here in the jungle. River getting that level 4. So now he is well and truly up ahead. LeBlanc has one mid, and Viego is going to win this matchup being level 4. But all it took was one little raptor for Wukong to get that level. So we're showing some aggression. Huhi is here with the Amumu, but they get in, get out. They are able to trade it back, and he's able to win the smite. Now Huhi actually sticks to it. He's got Glacial Augment, let's not forget. So it's very sticky once you do get onto a champion. I do not like that flash at all, Zin. You are dead to rights. double chain here from Gory using the Ignite as well, but willing to trade his passive as well. That Ignite will get the better value of the ward being ticked. You deny some of the health coming out from that, but Orianna looking to stick around. Also, you see that early, very early cloak from Orianna saying, hey, I just need to survive. One little cloak plus my shields is enough to survive this matchup. Don't expect, well, maybe might go Merc Treads. I wouldn't, because you're the only AP threat on this team. It is that much more important that you are full spell pen, so you can get the full damage out on your ultimates, and full value you want to see like Rabadon's third. Don't want to spend too much time with these defensive items. However, you know, a Mumu catch, LeBlanc being able to poke from range, you might see Merc Treads here, and sort of a concession to going into the later part of the game, because you're against Renekton and LeBlanc and a Mumu, right? Champions that just dominate the beginning of the game. Now, Licorice, Executioner's first purchase, saying, I'm going to go toe-to-toe with you. You want to trade? Let's trade. Not going any kind of defensive item. Now, we did see a problem that you can have with an itemization like this, that even when you health stack as Renekton, you will still get popped, right? So if you know, for example, he's opting for Executioners right now, and he's going to go into Chainsword later. Oh, here's the ultimate from Orianna. Well played. LeBlanc getting the close. Now, they do have the cooldown advantage. They should be able to continue this fight, but they won't go now that they see Wukong coming in from mid. That's the end of that. Where was I? Renekton's getting popped, right? So in this build, if you go Chainsword and Black Cleaver, for example, or Gore Drinker, right, you're only using health as your way of surviving. There's no mitigation resistances, and so that build can get popped, right? Normally, the sort of synergy that you want with an ultimate that gives you bonus health is extra resistances. You just don't want to give up too much as the Renekton. Might be a kind of testament to how weak Death Stance is, that he's not just immediately rushing every part of it, but we might expect him to go in that avenue. Now, what I don't like about this is that they're fronting this damage onto Braum. And Braum's just happy to take all of it. Now, good job by Stixxay, forcing the flash here. Jumping in, you get that bomb in, right? So if you can throw that bomb while you're in midair, then when you land, it'll count as one of the charges. That way you should be able to get your resets that much faster. Dude, Gory is landing every single chain onto Kadi here. Early Sork shoes showing like, hey, all right, you've got that early cloak. I'm going to go ahead and go early pen and see if I can't chunk you out right now while the getting's good. But, you know, Orianna with that early defensive itemization, just happy to shrug it off. It looks like because of this boots that it is going to be Merc Tread's rush. So really a testament to how strong LeBlanc's laning phase is if she goes the Merc Treads indeed. But it is going to come at a cost, right? They're not going to have this full power. They may decide that they don't need it as much because they are going into 1-3-1. Merc Treads is extremely helpful in the sideways, right? It is the best one apart from just Swifties, right? Swifties being the very best split pushing. Boot just gets you out of more situations. Renekton, Mercury Treads is the next best one, right? Making sure that they can't lock you down or they can't burst you as they come to your lane. So we'll see what comes of it. Yep, there it is. Merc Treads plus the crystal. Now, this does mean that absolutely no threat going forward, right? Just multiple spell rotations is the only way she's ever going to get these chunks down onto the LeBlanc. Well, look at that play by LeBlanc. Love it. Using W, moving the wave back towards the turret to get exactly the health totals on the minions that she wanted, and is able to get all the CS there. So well played. Now here we go. We've got Lost Chapter and Sork Shoes versus Merc Tread. So LeBlanc will have the advantage here, but you see how much one little combo there from Kadi's Orianna is going to do. Just QW. If you can get QW auto, even better. And saying, well, I'm going to win this part of the lane at least with just my Merc Treads. Now we have a river fight. Stixay is fighting for prio here. Will be the first one to get out, but do we actually want this fight? Stixay has to be careful. Ooh, jumping in. That is so risky. Perhaps didn't realize that the fight was going on behind, but LeBlanc was able to shut the door. They're able to go. I love this position by Stixay, although it gets the one-man ult from Zeri. Expect them to try to go for the Braum, but Braum jumps out. Curious, I actually don't know if Braum can jump this wall to a teammate. I would suspect yes, but they did flash. Zeri was positioning over to that corner as if it were possible, but it could be the case that Braum had already just put the W on cooldown on themselves. Ooh, beautifully done. Baits out the stun, gets in, continue this fight. Renekton's going to look very strong here. Doesn't want to offer the other two, though. Fiora can win these trades just by getting those other two procs and getting the healing proc off. But Licorice flexing this lead is definitely going to be ahead right now, using the plated steel caps and executioners by themselves. Just early game laning items, showing how strong they can be, but it specifically had to bait out the riposte once it was out. And I'm sure, you do it so it makes a sound effect and it charges you up, so the Fiora then puts out the parry, and then you step to the side, you wait, and you hit. Licorice being, one of the best Renekton players that NA has ever had. No stranger to this pick. Licorice really has been probably the best talent that NA has ever produced in the top wave. Has been buried on bad teams before, and so kind of got a rap that he was a little bit washed. But it's showing now that he is strong. This whole team, right? Every single person on this team capable of greatness, and some have been overperforming. River coming in, big import. You've got Gory been playing. Perhaps the biggest surprise to me is how well Gory has played this split, and then Huhi and Stixay just solid, getting a lot done. So got a lot to like about this team. And against Gigabyte Marines, right? You're saying, hey, you guys are the explosive team. We're just going to be solid. We're going to play nice and I don't want to say safe, but solid, right? You don't see anyone seemingly taking big risks in these fights. River did take a little bit of a risk going for the early invade, but largely it looks like they're making very calculated decisions, saying, hey, sort of a poker strategy. If the villain is going to show you aggression, you don't need to be aggressive, right? Let them bet into you. Right, and then when you have the stronger hand, you'll take them for everything. So this is sort of what's happening in this game, and just the series. GAM, let them be aggressive. We'll just be solid. They'll play into us. We'll see what kind of mistakes they can make, or over aggressions. Now, good lead there by the Fiora. We'll be able to get another proc off. But Licorice was heading out, took a turret shot as they were clearing the wave to make sure that they could get this position off. Now, Fiora has the option to freeze here. Not something that you see very often in pro play. And it looks like is not going to go for it. Probably wants to get a plate, but only has 20 seconds to do it. So it's going to be very close if Fiora can actually get this. Now, Renekton might opt to go straight to the pit here. You might see, again, Stixay and Huhi rotating over for the respawn of the Rift Herald. They may try to go for this pressure down bottom, though, with Amumu's ultimate, right? They have all the setup that they need for these fights for Tristana, right? Amumu dashes in. If he lands that Q, you better believe Tristana's jumping in because the ultimate is sure to follow. So they're going to go, it looks like, get one more wave down here. They're going to rotate back before coming over to help in the mid wave. LeBlanc is going to recall and reset. Now, Renekton has to be a little bit careful, right? His team is on recall timers. Viego stepped back into the jungle. So Fiora absolutely can show some strength. Licorice taking a step forward so he can get the double dash on Renekton. And Wukong's efforts are for nothing. Now, you do see Braum coming over. What are we going to see out of Zeri and out of Orianna? Fiora does have the first teleport to come up. If you're going to contest this, I would like to see Fiora go bottom and then have your team push up through mid and then contest the river. But it looks like they're just going to cede this position. They are down 2k. No, they're coming in consolidated. Wukong dashing in, going for the full thing, but the counter engage. You leave Wukong alone and you go for the fight up front, but blue team gets the first strike in the damage. LeBlanc is able to continue off. Now Tristana's going to get resets. Expect her to carry this fight. Boom! Gets an explosion, and 1, 2, and 3 shots will do it. GG. Golden Guardians cleaning up. Now they'll take this turret, and then they'll come back and take the Rift Herald right after. You may expect them to just get back on the map, but they probably should. With just a Mumu right here, you've got a very easy timer to go get the Rift Herald. You could have picked it up for yourself. They opt to not do it. No real complaint. If you go for it, right, you will get it, but then the enemy team has tempo on the map. They're going to decide instead, hey, this Herald's not going to matter. We're ahead. They're not. Enemy team's never going to be able to use this Herald to any sort of advantage. So instead, let's get a tempo lead, get our recalls in first, get our shop, and get into the Dragon Pit so that we can flex our lead even harder. Well played. Well played there. So here we go. We're back on the map. You see Viego still looking over here like, hey, we can be strong in mid, and as long as we're first back on mid, we'll still win this Rift Herald, and we'll be in position for the Dragon. Renekton is still stayed on top lane, hoping to deny Fiora. You might have expected Fiora. Well, you know what? Fiora would have stayed here, right? If the fight's going to be towards the Dragon, you expect Fiora to be as far away from it as possible. Orianna can push in the closest wave. Now, she's recalling, which means she's got Liandry's Anguish done. But that is 16 minutes in, and we're seeing the downside of the Bjergsen build, right? When you go Merc Treads into, yes, there are a couple stuns on the enemy team, and yes, it's LeBlanc and Mumu. Like, no argument that Merc Treads are going to be effective this game. But when you start with defensive itemization, you end up being very slow to your build. And the Orianna has not been able to carry these fights when arguably could have if she had gone for damage. And that could be the difference between getting these items faster and being more or less set up for this fight. Right now, Gigabyte Marines are not even going to look. Now, I do like this. You're behind. Can't go for Dragon. There is no world where you can go for Dragon. You are the scaling team. You're going to set up for 1-3-1. So they're just going opposite side of the map, say, hey, you can get Dragon, we'll go get top. The problem is that they're doing it into the face of a Rift Herald. So Rift Herald is assisting in the push and bot wave. Orianna mistiming that just ever so slightly. Doesn't even get the kill. 50 gold missed there. So now we've got 3 dragons here. You ended up getting the extra turret. So this trade, not even close to equal. If it were dragon for turret, great. But because you lost 2 turrets in the bot wave, and the fact that your base turret is now under 1/3 health, it is not going to regen, right? So from 3,300, it's under 1,100. It'll stay there. It'll regen up to 1,100, but it's going to stay there. And all that gold went into the pockets of GG leading up to these fights. So they've got 3 dragons. Baron's going to be on the table for them. They're going to put all of their vision into this western quadrant. And basically this Baron is theirs for the taking. The question is, can GAM do anything about it? Really, no. Fiora's going to have to go in bot. They're going to have to put 4 in midwave. They're going to have to trade Baron for 2 outer turrets, right? 4 people can go for this turret here. Now, what you can do as a gambit, your team is so far behind. This is what I would recommend for Gigabytes. You take this. You take this while they're taking Baron. When Golden Guardians rotates over to contest mid, instead of retreating away, you retreat towards your bot lane and you say, we're going to take the fight now before things get worse, right? Things are only going to get worse for this situation with the Baron. They're going to be coming down your throat. Might as well make them come into your territory where you might have a little bit of a ward advantage and see if you can get lucky in a fight in the Eastern Quadrant, right? So this would be let them set up for Baron, 4 mid, Fiora bot. Take while the enemy team is on Baron, right? You posture enough to, hopefully, if you can posture enough for your Renekton to teleport, even better. But the point is that you get this team to try to rotate towards you. You collapse on Renekton if he stays, or you just consolidate in this Eastern Quadrant, and you try to make it for this inner as well. Say, hey, you guys haven't shopped. You haven't spent your extra thousands from the Baron buff and what you've got on the map. You're just chasing us, so we can fight you with what's in our inventory. That's the best chance that Gigabyte Marines will have in this game. But it looks like Brahm's actually putting a lot of vision here. Now, you can do this. You can say, hey, I'm going to I'm going to use all my vision slots early here. It kind of sets up the heightened heart rate. You're putting the pressure on them saying, hey, all right, they know they're in the Northern Quadrant. They're not just giving us this. They expect to fight for it. And you start getting the adrenaline kind of going up. You try to get them to make irrational mistakes. And you do that, right? You put a little bit of extra pressure. You just show But this is the setup that we want, right? So this is actually perfect. Wukong in between. Wukong's going to start going into this area. We're going to push up mid. Absolutely love this from Gigabyte Marines. Fight for mid priority. See if you can't get this turret down. Fiora's actually going to take this trade. Now, again, this is something you have to do. You have to take risks in this situation. You are behind by a ton, and you cannot survive to a scaling point of this game. Fiora just has to win some of these on her own. Good job. I love that she uses the ultimate there. Gets the ultimate out of Renekton. Has to step back, but I don't like what's happened here. They've stepped away, perhaps saying, hey, Golden Guardians, they're fighting for priority here in mid. River not giving away the mark. Fiora trying desperately to get it. Same thing. 3 times, actually 4 times now that Licorice has turned on his stun. Kiaya has responded with the parry. And Licorice just waits. He just waits out the timer and goes for it from there. So something we'd like to see Kiaya kind of learn from in this, right? The sound, you got to wait for that animation. Once the animation starts, they can't cancel it. You got to wait for that thing to go. Very, very difficult to do. But definitely you can, as the Renekton, you can bait it, right? And he's been doing it. I turn it on, I walk on you, I'm aggressing on you, and then I turn it on. You know, who wouldn't put up the riposte immediately? It's tough. All right, so Golden Guardians did opt to fight for the mid lane prio, which I absolutely love. You say, no, let's check all of our boxes. Let's dot our I's and cross our T's. We are going to win mid first. We're not going to just take Baron River for no reason. We want to win in the mid lane first. Corey flashing forward, showing absolute mastery on this champion. And by winning mid, they're able to get a pick mid. Look at all the vision that they have surrounding the map. And with Elder coming up, the Soul coming up in 15 seconds, they're just going to go for Soul. Now, if you're GAM, hallelujah, just Geronimo, punch at Baron. You say, all right, whichever one you're going to, we're all in on the other. Try to set up where the enemy team might make mistakes. Now, again, if you're Golden Guardians, just be steady. Win mid prio. Walk over, right? Take it slow. You've got vision on both avenues to get towards the side lanes. The Dragon's going to be yours for free. Fiora is not going to be big enough to be a threat, although she will have the Ravenous Hydra by the time the Elder spawns. So she will be able to just crush these side lane matchups. You see the build that we were talking about from Renekton earlier, Gourd Drinker and the Chainsword. A lot of health stacking can get burst out, and especially with max health damage, right? Leandri's Anguish and Fiora getting the sweet spot procs or weak spot. Going for that extra max health threat. Now, Zeri. What is Zeri going to build into from here? Is it going to be Navori? Essence Reaver. One of the two, usually. Now, here we go. Golden Guardians has won the threat. Fiora was off in the bot lane. Now, it looks like they are going for the contest. They say, hey, our best chance is actually a win of fight here. We're not going to try to split, and Baron split push loses to Baron, so they have to take this fight. Huhi jumping in expertly, right? Q in, flash ult to get that effect off. Now let's see what about the cleanup. We need a perfect fight from Zeri. Oh, Tristan appealing the team by ulting them away. Absolutely beautifully done. River showing that he can play Zeri as well. Jumps over that wall. And the chase is on. This is going to be a zoning chase, all right? Make no mistake about it. They are not committing into the area that they don't have vision. Licorice is just going to be a body saying, hey, I'm threatening the fact that you can't take your backs right now, and our team is going to go end, right? You have 17 seconds on 2 different champions, 22 on the third. So Licorice diving in, gets Gourd Drinker off immediately, doesn't try to get anything else off, and Gory showing absolute strength here. Oh my gosh. Trades kills, which is totally okay for them, right? It doesn't even matter that they're trading kills because they're getting the base. But because they had to step back, because Amumu is coming out of base, and they weren't able to get a body onto the mid wave, they actually cannot end. And Gigabyte Marines survives to fight again. However, to what end? How do you get out of this situation? The entire ward, the entire map is lit up, right? You've got this trapezoid of vision across mid, plus the super pushing through mid, meaning Golden Guardians are always going to have vision superiority in this position. Now, I love this from Amumu, buying time for his team. 3-man stun to set up the fight. Gory on the edge, showing, hey, we got to get everything on style that we can. Renekton going full in on the AD carry, and, Licorice vehemently declaring that Renekton scales. Just after every interview, every time he had a chance to say it, I'd be like, I don't know why people think that Renekton doesn't scale. And it's basically because he is an answer to AD carries. As long as you have good communication and good upfront damage in the team fight, he's happy to soak all that up, and you say, I am the anti-AD carry. I have a guaranteed stun. I've got the dashes to get there. I've got the health to survive. I can lock up style. My team can pop him, and then we're fine in the fight. And it's not until much later in the game, right? We're talking full builds before AD carries are going to deal enough damage up front to Renekton that he can't actually approach. All right, so let's see the technique here. Normally you would see Renekton in this position, and we're showing why LeBlanc is not the one to generally go there. She gets picked off. It will cost them the turret, and it was a lot of cooldowns, including the Wukong ultimate and the Orianna ultimate. It looks like Braum as well. So they may, Golden Guardians may make the call that we can win with 4 here. The question is, should they? Oh, we get the engage from Amumu. Beautiful angle. Gets in, gets the Zonias. Renekton blows up the fight. Tristana's there to clean everything up. Absolutely beautifully played. Although Zeri, trade. Gets the big shutdown. But beautifully played. Good execution there. Knowing that enemy teams does not have enough cooldowns, they can take the fight. Beautifully played by Golden Guardians. Well done. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps the channel out a lot. I'll catch you guys next time. Keep it surreal. Peace.